Hello, my name is Jason Adrians. Today is 2/22/2025, and I'm going to be summing up the article Genetics-Based Methods for Agricultural Insect Pest Management. Today I want to talk to you about a major problem that farmers face and how it affects the food we eat in a way that scientists are trying to solve this problem. Farmers work hard to grow their crops, but one of the main problems that they face are pests. Pests eat their crops, decreasing their product yield, and that affects society as a whole because that means less products or less crops are getting to the grocery store, which you and I eat. So in order to prevent this problem, or to try to prevent this problem, farmers use something called pesticides. Pesticides kill or repel the pests and increases the number of crops available when it comes time to harvest. The problem with using pesticides, though, is pests can develop a resistance to the pesticides, which then leaves the farmers two options. Either they can use more pesticides, which can help harm the environment and kill good things like bees, and it can also affect their health, or they just have to let basically the pests win. These resistant pests can get through the pesticides that they use and still harm the crops that they want to harvest at the end of the year. To slow this resistance, farmers use a strategy called a refuge strategy. Refuge strategy is where farmers leave a portion of their crops untreated with pesticides, which allows the non-resistant pests to stay non-resistant, because those non-resistant pests will feed on those crops, and then it's impossible for them to get resistant to that pesticide because it's not there. And then those pests that are still non-resistant can breed with resistant pests, and hopefully their offspring are non-resistant. And that keeps that resistant population in check. This strategy isn't perfect, though, because if you assume that the resistance trait is a recessive trait, there's still a chance that if a resistant pest breeds with a non-resistant pest, there's still a chance that, even though it's slim, there's still a chance that the offspring is still resistant. And over time, that trait will still get passed down and eventually lead to pests that are resistant to pesticides, and that will still affect the product yield, which affects the food that we eat. In order to solve this impending problem, scientists are considering a new approach. This new approach is genetic technology, or genetically modifying these pests in order to make them weaker or unable to reproduce. This is done by changing their DNA and then introducing these genetically modified pests into the ecosystem, to where the current pests that are already in the ecosystem will breed with the genetically modified ones, and either it'll create offspring that are weaker to the pesticides or weaker to harsh conditions, or just completely unable to reproduce. Ergo, completely eradicating the problem that these pests cause in the farmer community. To test whether this idea would work, scientists did actually conduct mathematical models and lab experiments to see, on a small scale, if introducing genetically modified pests into an ecosystem would actually work. Overall, the results were very positive. However, these results were positive on a small scale. There still needs to be a lot more research done on the long-term effects of this introducing the genetically modified species into the ecosystem, because completely eradicating a species and having it go extinct has a lot of effects on other species as well, and humans in general, and the environment, and a lot of things. So there needs to be a lot more research done, and not only that on the ecosystem, but from the ethical side of this, and as well as the public acceptance, because obviously these pests don't just go to farms, they go everywhere. So it affects everyone. So there needs to be a lot more research done on the long-term sustainability of introducing these genetically modified pests into the ecosystem. To pose a question, how much should we interfere with nature to solve human problems? Thanks for listening.